What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we deliver exciting news from the MCU daily. I'm Warren Thompson, and today we're going to be diving deep into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and talk about one of the most anticipated developments, the arrival of the X-Men. The X-Men have been a fan favorite for decades, and since Disney's acquisition of Fox, fans have been eagerly waiting for their introduction into the MCU. Marvel and Disney have kept very quiet about what their plans are for the X-Men, including when they're going to officially enter the MCU. So today we'll be talking about everything that we know so far about when and how the X-Men will enter the MCU. Now, in this video, I've broken it down and put all of the crucial, important information that you need to know about the X-Men coming into the MCU into 7 key parts. And the first part is extremely important to know. So, part 1. There will be different types of X-Men in the MCU. The important thing that you need to know about how the X-Men debut is that there's basically going to be a line drawn in the MCU timeline. The line is going to be drawn after Avengers Secret Wars, meaning we are going to see mutants/X-Men show up before Secret Wars and after Secret Wars, but there's going to be a big difference between the ones who come before and the ones who come after. So, who is coming before Secret Wars and who is coming after? Well, we'll go into that in part 2 and part 3. And part 2 is the original X-Men return. Based off of everything that we know so far, the primary X-Men that are going to come before and during Secret Wars will be the old X-Men from the Fox universe. Based off of the insider reports we've heard, the main X-Men that will fight in the battle against Kang will be the Fox X-Men and X-Men from other universes, not our main MCU. So right now the MCU is dealing with incursions where 2 different universes or more collide with each other. This typically results in the destruction of one or both or all universes, but we know that in Secret Wars, heroes from other universes are going to come together with heroes from our main universe. And some of these heroes are going to be the X-Men, but it's going to be the X-Men from the Fox universe. Also, it's rumored the Fantastic Four from the Fox universe could show up as well. But the main point of part 2 is that the X-Men who show up before Secret Wars and during are going to be the older Fox generation of X-Men. And Marvel Studios has basically confirmed this already, with some of the producers stating that the new X-Men are years and years away, and they aren't going to be rushed projects. Which brings us to part 3, the new X-Men. Now, there will be a tiny glimpse at the new X-Men that are coming, but only teases and not a part of the official X-Men team. This will be similar to what we saw with Ms. Marvel. We got our little X-Men tease with the X-Men theme song playing in the background, and teases like Namor and Wakanda Forever. Kevin Feige confirmed and the movie confirmed he is a mutant, but you won't exactly see him on an official X-Men team soon. The official X-Men team of the new mutants in the MCU is going to come after Secret Wars. Which brings us to part 4, phase 7, the Mutant Saga. Now, just for the record, we don't know what the next phase is officially going to be called, but it is going to be highly focused on mutants and X-Men, specifically starting to put together the new X-Men team, or the original X-Men team since we've never had one before in the MCU. So the true new X-Men come after Secret Wars in Phase 7, and the new saga will most likely be called something like the Mutant Saga. And this saga and these phases will work in possibly 2 different ways, but will ultimately lead to the same outcome. The X-Men having already been formed in the MCU, and them recruiting new X-Men, because we're really not sure if the X-Men have been around in the MCU all of this time. If that's the case, we're not really sure what excuse they'll give us for us not really knowing about them, or the Avengers not knowing about them, or maybe they did, but they could go the other way. A new X-Men team being formed right in front of our eyes for the very first time, meaning the X-Men team does not already exist in the MCU. Now, if the X-Men team already exists, then we'll most likely have characters like Professor X, Magneto, Cyclops, and other big X-Men already part of the team. We'll watch these X-Men go and try to find mutants to bring to Professor X's school for gifted youngsters, and also recruit mutants for the official X-Men team. However, if the team isn't formed yet, we'll most likely start with a solo film around whoever the leader and villain are going to be. Now, they could stick to tradition, and this could be a classic Professor X and Magneto story, or it could be something completely different because we know Kevin Feige wants to switch it up. If something has been done before, Kevin Feige likes to mix it up a little bit. He doesn't like to show us the same thing we've already seen. However, the X-Men are kind of an exception because Professor X leading the X-Men and Magneto leading the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is a very big deal because Professor X, or Charles, and Magneto, or Eric, were friends before they were enemies. So there's a big story to be told with these specific characters. But either way, if they're introducing new X-Men or if the X-Men team is already established in the MCU, we'll either get movies of the original X-Men establishing their powers and the X-Men team, or we'll get recruits. Either way, it leads to an X-Men team being formed and an official X-Men movie, which brings us to part 5, X-Men recruits. We will most likely get a build up to the X-Men team like we got a build up to the Avengers. Solo X-Men projects will build up to the official formation of the X-Men team. This works even if it's a combination of new X-Men recruits and veterans because it'll still be the first time that we see the X-Men debut as an official group on screen. It'll be the project, the movie titled The X-Men. Even if the team is formed, we won't see the team go into action together until this official X-Men movie. And this brings us to part 6, which is kind of sad, but I also think kind of necessary. And that is no more Avengers. After Secret Wars going into Phase 7, the Avengers will most likely be background characters as the focus will now be on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. This will basically come as a soft reboot for the MCU, which could come as a pleasant break for some people. But I, for one, am really looking forward to a new saga where the Avengers and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are all interacting with each other in a lot of different projects, in movies, in Disney Plus shows. I think it would be fantastic. I think it would be exactly like the comics were, which is what Marvel fans have wanted for such a long time, but could never get on screen because of the film rights. So hopefully the Avengers don't really get sidelined. Hopefully they still stay very prominent in the MCU. Now, even if they do get put on the back line for maybe a saga or a couple of phases, they are definitely going to be coming back. And eventually we'll get what Part 7 is, a huge Avengers Endgame / Secret Wars event, the next one probably following Secret Wars, that will have all of these different heroes coming together on screen for the first time. The Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the new X-Men, not the Fox X-Men. And one event that I think would be really cool, especially since you are now introducing mutants into the MCU alongside of the Avengers, is the Avengers vs. the X-Men. New heroes are coming into the MCU. The Avengers are used to being the superhero team. Well, what happens when new people who have actual powers, genetic powers like the Scarlet Witch, come into play and go up against people like Captain America, Sam Wilson, who doesn't have any powers, Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, no powers, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, Bucky. Yes, some of these have super soldier serum, but no really mutant abilities here. No teleportation, no laser beams coming out of their eyes, no abilities to produce storms. What happens if these two groups don't exactly get along when they first get introduced to each other? Which I think would kind of be a cool story arc for them to do an Avengers versus X-Men, have them fight, but eventually do the superhero thing where you have a versus film and get them to fight a bigger cause. Then realizing that they have to work together. They're all super, they all have the ability to protect the world and people, so it's their duty to work together. And of course, after that, develop deep connections and relationships with each other that will last many sagas, hopefully. But I would like to see an Avengers vs. the X-Men at one point in time, and something that would be really interesting to see if that happens is whose side would the Fantastic Four take, or would the Fantastic Four be divided as well? We're not really sure what the future holds. Marvel is being very tight-lipped about it, and of course they are. We haven't even gotten to Secret Wars yet. But that is everything that we know about the X-Men coming to the MCU. New and old X-Men. And no matter what, the future is definitely looking bright for Marvel Studios and the MCU with the upcoming inclusion of the official X-Men team. But let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and leave a comment so you can enter our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5 and Xbox Series X, some Marvel Legends items, and some DC items as well. Winner gets to pick, and we're picking a winner at the end of each month. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.